welcome. Oh, thank you. So happy to be here with you this morning. And I'm amazed and just so thrilled to see so many people here to join the celebration with us this morning. I'm Bridget Quinn. I'm the president and CEO of the Hartford Public Library. Thank you. This is not a typical ribbon cutting because this building is not just any old typical building. And for 252 years, Hartford Public Library has been so much more than a typical library. This is in place to inspire, to connect, to engage, to learn, to share, sometimes just to be. And it's all for free for all of us. A place for all, a place like no other. On December 24th, 2022, I stood in the area directly behind us and took in the devastation of the flood. With Hartford Fire Department, responders all around me, I knew we would recover and repair this place, expediting the work because of how critical this place is to so many in our community, to this city, to who we are in Hartford. 3.5 years later, which honestly blows my mind, but here we are, 3.5 years later, we are celebrating this very special place. So much more than a building, but a building that I cannot wait for you to see. The repairs are complete and the design was inspired and informed by the community that we serve. This space is an educational, creative, and cultural hub now poised to offer even more opportunities for creators, learners, entrepreneurs. It's a vibrant downtown destination that will continue to contribute to boosting our economy by being a best-in-class library in a best-in-class community. There will be a lot of thank yous this morning. So after 3.5 years, there's a lot of people to thank and acknowledge and appreciate. And first and foremost, the community for being a city that values a library. And I lost my remarks, here we go, and supports and actually uses it. That's one of the best things I love about this place, about working for the Hartford Public Library and serving this community. People love their library and they show up and they go to programs and they use the materials and they're here and they value that, and that's very special, and not every community has that. We do here in Hartford. I want to thank our service partners and our generous donors. The renovated downtown library expands the way we serve our community with many new things that you'll see today, including the Business Resource Center, the Hartford Business Resource Center, which is workforce development, career exploration, entrepreneurship, and HPL Studios, a really, really special space I can't wait for you to see. And that's where people will have access to state-of-the-art media production and content creation. None of this would be able to be possible without the leadership and support of our board of directors, our ambassadors, and the federal, state, city, corporate, and community partners who believe in the power of public libraries to strengthen and transform communities. I'd like to acknowledge our key funding partners and special guests here today. For our government support, we have congressionally directed funding that was spearheaded by our congressman, and our federal delegation has been incredibly supportive of the library, not just for this project, but for so many other things that we do. The state of Connecticut, incredibly generous donors to this project, and of course the city of Hartford. Our philanthropic supporters include the Hartford, Travelers, Greater Hartford Give Foundations, Greater Hartford Gives Foundation, Global Atlantic KKR Foundation, of course our board of directors, incredibly generous, the Sweetland Patricelli family, Rick and Beth Costello, the Richard P. Garmany Fund, and all of the generous donors who helped raise nearly $5 million in philanthropic support for this project. Our on-site partners include the University of Connecticut, Capital Workforce Partners, Hartford Public Access Television, and Futures Inc., our new cafe operator. And I can't help but thank the people that have literally made this possible by their design and by their hard work. TSKP Studio, Downs Construction, Margaret Sullivan Studio, and the Garden Club of Hartford. Thank you. If you haven't seen the front of this library, take a walk by, and that's all because of the Garden Club. And today we have some very special guests with us. Our state librarian, Deborah Shander, Superintendent Dr. Andre Townsell, Ellen Paul from the Connecticut Library Consortium, and many of our other friends, including Joe from Bank of America. He shows up to everything. It's amazing. Metro Hartford Alliance is here, from Connecticut Public, LeGrand, Comcast, so many supporters that have made today possible, and Women's Business Development Council, a great example of partners that we're going to be showcasing today in our Small Business Resource Center. It is now my pleasure to introduce someone who's long been a champion of libraries and a critical role they serve in a democracy and our society, Senator Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you, Bridget. How about a big round of applause for Bridget Quinn? Thank you, Bridget, for your leadership. You have been tireless, and there are so many people here to thank. As I look around this patio, I'm reminded of the old saying that the people you mention won't remember, and the people you fail to mention will never forget. So I'm not going to try to name names here, but I really want to thank the community. Yes, there's federal money, there's private money, but more important than the dollars and cents is the civic engagement that we see here. You know, we are soon going to be celebrating our nation's 250th anniversary. The Hartford Library has spanned those entire 250 years because of a community that so valued, in fact, relished what a public library means. I have just spent 5 days in Ukraine, my 10th trip, supporting their fight for freedom and democracy. They value the opportunity to learn, to develop their culture. They are resisting and fighting back against an invasion that literally threatens their identity. Russia wants to eliminate Ukraine as a people. And here we are celebrating America in an institution that is uniquely American. Beginning 250 years ago, the idea that people could walk into a place and find books, literally, America began with books. Not the internet, nobody could have imagined it, but reading a book in a place that offered shelter and warmth and encouragement of learning. And this ethic and tradition is uniquely American also because it encouraged the vision and hope and opportunity of immigrants. I mention that fact because I first learned about libraries from my dad, who came here in 1935 to escape persecution in Europe. He was 17 years old. He hadn't graduated from high school, let alone college. He knew virtually no English. He had no contacts here. He had not much more than a shirt on his back. The library was a place where he went to learn about America, to learn to speak English, to lift up his own life, and then lift up mine. And so there is something personal about a library that I think is captured in this saying, because what we see here is not only a library restored and renovated, but reimagined. Again, in a uniquely American way, with the vision and hope that are a source of pride for all of us. And so thank you, Hartford, for showing us what is important about a library, what's important about America on this 250th anniversary. And I'm very proud to join you today and say thank you for showing us the way once again. And to introduce a real champion of libraries and of Hartford, the person who has been behind the federal funding here and has been tireless in advocating for this cause, my great friend, John Larson.
Well, good morning, everyone, and congratulations, Bridget, and all the board members. It's great to be here with Marilyn Rossetti and the mayor as well. I think Dick underscored it correctly. This is a team effort. We have a great delegation in Washington, D.C. Our 2 United States senators, and of course there's this woman from the Haven called Rosa DeLauro who happens to chair the Appropriations Committee. That's an asset. But what's incredible about the $500,000 grant that we're able to achieve is that we did that when the Republicans were in control of the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. And that's because of the leadership of our senators and our whole delegation that pulls together. These are very difficult, yes. These are very difficult times that we live in. We're in a crisis right now, dealing with the current president of the United States. But everyone who comes to Washington and visits my office, I tell them the same thing. The most impressive building and the most important place you'll ever visit is the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. It stores all the known knowledge of the world. The significance of libraries and knowledge is essential to a democracy. If we are going to thrive, if we are going to be able to express our opinions openly and with clarity, we have to find that place, like Dick's father did, where the doors are open and welcoming to all people. And yes, Dick couldn't have said it better. The credit doesn't belong to the elected officials. The credit belongs to you. It belongs to this board and the people who care deeply about the importance of libraries, the sanctuaries where people can go and envision and learn and see their curiosity and independence. 2 15-year-old kids from South Windsor, Connecticut, flew down to D.C. on their own. They had just won the app challenge for Congress. And I was rushing off to a committee on Ways and Means because we had an important hearing, and my staff said, look, these 2 kids from South Windsor have just showed up. Could you give them, time? I said, well, look, we got this meeting. They said they flew down by themselves. I said, all right, just one picture. They sat in the office, impeccably dressed, as polite and courteous. 2 15-year-old children. I asked them what they did for their app project. They said, we're developing a new way to deal with gut health. I thought they were looking at my gut and making fun of me, but I said, really? Gut health? Yes. Well, in going to school, and we have a club, but in going to the library, we were able to develop this app that won the Congressional Award. I said, well, congratulations again, but that's not why we're here. We wanted to talk to you about artificial intelligence. And I'm thinking to myself, these are two 15-year-old kids, immigrants of parents that came to this country. And they proceeded to go on and explain how they did this and why it's important. And then I asked, do all schools do this? And they didn't know. They just knew that they had a club in their school that did. So we checked. No schools do this. They have clubs. The point is this. We're dealing in this time and place where for a lot of people, artificial intelligence and the ability to gain knowledge isn't going to be accessible to them, especially those in communities that need it the most. It will be the federal government's responsibility to make sure that we deliver this, because if we're in a race with China to make sure that we succeed, then we've got to make sure that our libraries are all equipped. And as important, our teachers are trained and know how to pass on this education. And equally important, making sure that these kind of students will have the same kind of opportunity that Dick's father did. He didn't do too bad. He produced a pretty good United States Senator, I'd say. Don't you agree? So listen, congratulations, one and all, but especially to all of you who care deeply enough and passionately enough about this library, because you know what it means to every person that will ever walk through this door. Congratulations.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Senator. And beyond the financial support that you've been able to help us with, your advocacy on behalf of libraries at the federal level has really been stalwart. I mean, it's just incredible. When we have challenges at the state level or federal level with any issues impacting libraries, you and your staff have always been so supportive, so thank you very much for that. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the mayor of the city of Hartford, former HPL board member, and a partner in this project and so many others. And I also want to give a shout out to your team at the city, Department of DDS and your building department and everybody that has come through. HR, all of your colleagues at the city make what we do here possible. And particularly for this project, it was really an effort for so many across the city, not just the library staff, but the city staff, and they have been nothing but helpful. So thank you for leading a great team, and thank you for being our mayor. And please, come on up.
Well, thank you so much, Bridget. I also want to give a shout out to the City Hall team. Thank you for all that you do for the city and for all of the institutions we value so dearly. And one of the greatest of those is the Hartford Public Library, the best library in the country. And I just want to give a shout out to the staff here at the Hartford Public Library. You know, Senator, as you were talking, I was thinking it is true that books created this country. This library has actually been around for longer than this country and has been the best library in this country because of the ways in which it touches so much of this city. In every part of the city, from my neighborhood and the Park Street branch, that beautiful branch in the middle of Park and Broad that brings so much life and character to that neighborhood. The Albany Ave branch, where we were recently for National Librarian Day. The Barber Street branch, where we just broke ground a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, on the new branch there. There's so much going on throughout the city. In fact, just yesterday, we had in my neighborhood a sort of block party called Cap Fest, and the library on wheels was there, and I was kind of making my way around the table, and my friend from the library on wheels came over to me and she said, "Mayor, I know you're avoiding me because you got some books that are due. You can still come say hi." That's the kind of touch that this library has, that they are in your neighborhood, in the places where people need it. And those are the arteries that bring lifeblood, the lifeblood of this library, to every part of this community. But this is the big, beautiful heart of that library system. And for 3.5 years, this library first closed its door and then wasn't able to fully open. And that had such an impact on this community. Just to give you a sense of scale, when that flood happened, I had not yet announced that I was running for mayor of the city of Hartford, and I've now served, as of today, 2.5 years as mayor in this role. That is how long it has been. Thank you. That is how long this place has been closed. But it is not just books, it is access. It is access for so many communities. For you walk into this place, it's like the city's living room. Young and old, rich and poor, people of all generations, of all parts of the city, of all ethnicities. And Bridget mentioned that before I was mayor, I was on this library's board. And I remember sitting in that cafe right there with Thea Montanez and Greg Davis, and they asked me, why do you want to be on the board, when I was first getting on? And I said, much like Senator Blumenthal's father, I was an immigrant to this country. And my neighborhood library branch meant so much to me. My family didn't have as many books as most other families do. But every Saturday morning, my mom would have us at the library, and we were allowed to take out 10 books. And I was a little better at returning them than I am now, apparently. But we were able to take out 10 books, and every single Saturday, I'd get my limit of 10 books, and I'd get every single one of them. And I'm convinced that I would not be mayor today if it weren't for that access I had, that bridged the gap, the divide that was there between me and so many of my colleagues who are in positions like this. And my family, I didn't have media. We weren't talking about 3D printing back then. The kind of access that kids have in this library and at the Albany branch and all around the city to technology through media is phenomenal. We didn't have the American Place and national award-winning immigrant services program for my family. We navigated so much of that on our own, but just the access to books bridged the gap. The impact that libraries have in our community give us a piece of what we all want in our community, a place where everyone can afford the basic dignity of a decent life. And for so many of our families, that is what this place means. And we have to fight for places like this. We have to fight for this in our community if we want to build a city, a country, a community that bridges that access, that gives our residents exactly what they deserve, all of the potential that is there in all of the young people growing up in this city that is no different from any potential that exists in any young person in Greenwich or Avon or any other part of the state. All of the bright light that is there in every family that comes into this city for the first time or that grows up in this city that deserves access to those resources in their neighborhood and in their downtown branch. We have to fight for that as a community. And as I look around, what I see is a community that is willing to fight for that. And as mayor of this city, let me just say, to our senator, to our congressman, to all of the partners who have helped bring this day about, thank you from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It means so much. And with that, I have the opportunity to introduce our Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti. But before I do, I was told, and I thank you to someone for whispering this in my ear, that today is Marilyn's birthday. Marilyn has served with 4 mayors, and I am her favorite. And she has given her love and passion to the city, and we are all so fortunate for it. And so before I introduce her, could we all sing happy birthday to her? Is that okay? You can join me. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marilyn. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my God. I never am going to have another birthday. And I actually said that earlier because I'm 69. And I said, I'm never having another birthday, and now I really am not. So Thank you so much for that. I'm here today to thank the library and thank the funders from the Court of Common Council, my colleagues. This is just a no-brainer for us to support the library. Such an institution. I'm also here as a library ambassador. I mean, again, such an institution. I'm also here as a product of the Hartford Public Library. You know, I grew up in the city. I went to Campfield Branch, you know, days, evenings, Saturdays. I like to say, evenings when I was a teenager, I may not have been going to the library. And I did tell my parents I was going to the library. But that's a story for another day. But the one, you know, I usually don't mix my hats, but I'm also the CEO of the Open Hearth, which is a men's shelter in the city of Hartford. And I would be truly remiss if I didn't mention two things. When the flood happened, and that day we were standing here, and I was here with Bridget and others, and Mayor Bronin at the time, to announce what was going to happen, one of the first things Bridget talked about was, what would we do with the populations at risk, like the men that we serve? That was one of the first things that they were thinking about, and that tells you about the library. That tells you about their mindset. And they continue to think that way. The library is a refuge, not only for people that we traditionally think about, but for people we traditionally don't think about. And that is really, really important. I'm told, I didn't do this personally, but a staff I'm working with, we're working with the library on some financial literacy stuff. And they were here recently, and they got library cards. And one of the clients said, well, I probably can't get one because, you know, I have a criminal record or this. No, you can get a library card. And we will make sure they learn to return their books, Mayor. But that's the kind of place this is. And at the Open Hearth, we like to say all are welcome, and that's reflected in this institution. All are welcome, and we couldn't be more happy, more proud, more excited that they're back at full steam. With that being said, my honor today, it's not her birthday, but she is a wonderful person. I consider her her friend. Her children are here. I've seen them the first time in person. How lucky are you, Bridget, to have such a great board chair as someone who has a board, you know, that can make or break it for a board. So my pleasure to introduce Karen Taylor, the board chair of the Public Library.
Such a sweet intro from the birthday girl. Thank you so much. Kind of interesting to see all these people gathered around for what we are calling kind of a modern day data center, right? I saw that on social media the other day, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, libraries are data centers in fact, right? Good morning, and on behalf of Hartford Public Library's Board of Directors, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us as we commemorate the renovation and reimagination of Hartford Public Library's downtown branch. This ribbon cutting is about much more than books or buildings, right? It's about community coming together to reaffirm our belief that everyone deserves access to knowledge, opportunity, and a place where they can fully explore their potential. Libraries are among America's most democratic institutions in society. They are places where curiosity is nurtured, possibilities are expanded, and communities come together. From literacy and education to workforce development to immigration services, entrepreneurship support, cultural exposure, civic engagement, this library has been a place where individuals and communities are able to prosper. As we know, today's success requires much more than just financial literacy, reading and writing, right? It requires the ability to navigate a rapidly changing world. Hartford Public Library has embraced that challenge, ensuring that Hartford residents have the tools and resources they need for today and also to prepare for tomorrow. That's why the library continues to be such a vital institution. We have evolved while staying true to our core mission of expanding access to the public for knowledge and opportunity. Today we celebrate the Downtown Library branch. It's fully restored and fully reimagined for the future. These transformed spaces reflect the aspirations of our community and create new opportunities for residents to learn, create, innovate, and connect. This building stands as an investment in Hartford's future and a powerful reminder of what is possible when community comes together around a shared vision. On behalf of the Board of Directors, we want to express our gratitude to the many individuals and organizations whose commitment made this day possible. Our elected officials, donors, community partners, library staff, the Triple R Campaign Committee members, volunteers, and supporters. We also want to offer special recognition to Bridget Quinn, because it's also her favorite thing to be acknowledged. Not true. For the past decade, Bridget has led Hartford Public Library with determination and unwavering commitment. Her leadership has made HPL a national model for urban public libraries, and we are very fortunate to have her. I would also recognize and shout out my fellow board members, past and present. Their dedication to this institution and their deep connection to the communities we serve keeps HPL responsive, relevant, and impactful. I am grateful for their collaboration and dedication and service to Hartford Public Library. So long before I was board chair, I was an enthusiastic patron of the library, the Barber, and the downtown branch. My kiddos are here and can attest that they've been asking often, like, when does the downtown branch open? When is it going to open? So they're here today. And it's been really a joy to be able to see this institution from the inside out, to see how Bridget works, to see how our board works, to see how our donors and our community comes up to support the library. I am consistently inspired by what this institution represents and what we continue to become. The theme for the week is fully restored, fully imagined, fully yours, and it is yours for sure, right? This library belongs to the people of Hartford. It belongs to every child, every student, entrepreneur, newcomer, lifelong learner, reader, and resident who walks through these doors. Thank you for being here to celebrate this exciting new chapter in Hartford Public Library's history. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mark Overmeyer Velasquez, Dean and Chief Administrative Officer of UConn, Hartford, and a fellow member of the Hartford Public Library's Board of Directors. Mark's work at UConn reflects the spirit of innovation, partnership, and community that we celebrate today. Welcome, my friend, Mark.
Buenos dias, good morning. Thanks to Bridget, to the incredible Hartford Public Library staff and my fellow board members, many of whom are here today, Mayor Ulampalam, our federal and state leaders, and a special thanks to UConn Hartford's Library Director, Karen Tatarka. Where are you, Karen? Over there. And all of my wonderful colleagues at UConn Hartford for making this day possible. I want to give a special shout out to Leticia Cotto, to Leti Cotto, right over there, who alongside her brother and familia first introduced me to Hartford over 20 years ago, to Boricua Hartford. Letty modeled for me what it means to truly listen to, learn from, and work alongside community partners with humility, care, and mutual respect. That spirit is at the heart of this partnership. So folks, what we have here is nationally distinctive. UConn Hartford is one of, or perhaps the only, national research university in the United States with a fully integrated co-location and partnership with the municipal public library. That matters. Especially in these precarious times for higher education and for the institutions that sustain democracy through learning, public dialogue, and community collaboration. Partnerships like this matter more than ever and reinforce the enduring value of higher education as a public good. For our students at UConn Hartford, a once federally designated Hispanic and Asian American serving institution, most of whom are first in their families to attend college. Spaces like this are powerful. And again, thanks to the welcoming UConn and HPL staff, they help students feel that they belong. And now, because of Karen Tatarka and my good friends and colleagues David Embrick and Jason Chang, we continue to expand that vision through the UConn Hartford CoLab. The CoLab brings together students, faculty, and staff from across all UConn campuses including our graduate programs in social work and public policy, education, and business, alongside Hartford community members through research and collaborative projects. Already, this work includes initiatives with Riverfront Recapture, Clay Arsenal Legacies Project, and the Love Your Block project in partnership with the Greater Hartford Gives Foundation and the City of Hartford. Just as importantly, the collab reflects UConn's commitment to student and career workforce development and connecting learning to real community challenges and preparing students not only for jobs, but to be world-ready citizens and leaders. So I hope everyone who's interested in helping shape this vision will mark their calendars for this Thursday when this week continues to celebrate all of the amazing programs that the library has, and come together for a community town hall to discuss how we can make this an even stronger community partnership with the university and the Hartford Public Library. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
So after 3.5 years, it makes sense that we're not just going to have a ribbon cutting and say, oh, it's nice and I'll go home, right? So this is a week, a month of incredible celebration that we're going to have. And I want to thank everybody that has spoken this morning for your support, for your, I don't know, those days when it was really hard and you would say, keep going. I heard it from the council, I heard it from the board and from, all of our stakeholders. Keep going, keep going. It's been a long 3.5 years. And I also just want to make sure that we acknowledge, and I know they've been mentioned before, but the Hartford Public Library staff is a staff like no other. They are the reason HPL is a place like no other. Buildings are beautiful, but they don't come alive until it has that connection of people. And the people that work here are passionate about what they do. They're committed to this library. They're committed to the city, to our community. And they show up day after day, even after some tough days, and they're right back at it the next day. I have an incredible amount of respect and love for my colleagues. I want to thank you all so much for your patience over these last 3.5 years. And I'm so excited about the future that we're going to create here together. As I mentioned, the celebration doesn't end here today. We're going to cut this ribbon soon, and you're going to see these beautiful new spaces. But check out what's happening throughout this week. We've got film screenings. Tonight we're seeing The Librarians. If you haven't seen it, come back at 5:30. There's salsa, there's Zumba, there's live music, there's Books and Brews on Thursday. That's going to be really fun. Come from that. The reopening of Art Walk. 3.5 years, our artist has been waiting patiently, and it's beautiful. Friday night is the opening of that. That's Trey Brooks doing a beautiful thing. On Saturday, we have our summer learning launch with our superintendent. We're going to be celebrating the partnership with Hartford Public Schools to celebrate the kickoff of summer and summer learning. And on June 11th, we're doing a record drop, a record launch. How cool is that? And I think we've got our artist here tonight, T.R. Willits. So come back for that performance. Super cool. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So check us out. And thank you for being here, for being part of this moment in history. We are fully restored, fully reimagined, and fully yours. Now let's cut that ribbon.